Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for today. We are going to be conducting an interview with Kim, and we're going to be talking about the importance of supplier relationship management. So, good afternoon, Kim. Over to you. If you can just tell me a little bit about yourself and your current role in procurement, please.
Hi Katie, my name's Kim. I work for a housing association in the public sector, and I deal with all the procurement for property services. So that's fleet and contractors and PPE and all manner of things, to be honest. So yeah, quite a busy role. I'm a supply chain officer, and I get all sorts of things like onboarding new suppliers, managing suppliers where they're not performing well, putting new processes in place, and that kind of thing. That's what my job entails.
Sounds really exciting, really busy, especially at the moment, I would imagine. So, with regards to supplier relationship management, you mentioned there you work closely with suppliers. Why do you think that supplier relationship management is important in your role?
It's extremely important, especially during the current pandemic that we're going through. It's been a really useful tool for me to utilise. So I'll give you a good example of this. One of our suppliers, wasn't very forthcoming with PPE items that obviously during a pandemic we absolutely need to be able to carry out our emergency repairs. Without the PPE, we can't go out and service our tenants' boilers and things. Obviously, it's like a risk to health, so it's really important that we get these supplies in. By using effective supplier relationship management, we was able to establish better processes between us both. We was able to establish what life was like for our suppliers, what their difficulties were, and how we could work together to manage them better. So we were both benefiting from the weekly meetings and a daily stock list from our supplier. So we knew where their difficulties were and they knew where our difficulties were.
I see, understand. So is there one specific time, and I'm sure at the moment with your work with regards to the pandemic, there's a lot, but is there one specific example you can elaborate on to explain to the learners and the listeners of the podcast where supplier relationship management was really beneficial, and explain the outcome of that with some sort of quantitative results?
So with our PPE suppliers, we do have one large supplier that we've normally used, and they were having trouble with their leads on their items that we required. So we had to think about it strategically and onboard a few smaller suppliers and establish relationships with those suppliers as well, so that we could get some sort of stock trickling in from different areas. And also that lightened the load on our bigger suppliers, because we weren't putting in such large orders with sort of emergency timescales on. So by being able to assess what their difficulties were, we were able to spread the load across some other suppliers and actually benefit some more local suppliers as well by doing that. And we've actually found that some of our local suppliers are really useful to us now, and we will be using them probably a bit more moving forward. And the way we're able to measure this is, like I say, with the bigger suppliers, because they've got the likes of the hospital needing PPE, and obviously they're going to take priority over us. With the smaller suppliers, they don't have that demand put on them, so it's a lot easier for us to get the better lead times from that. And having weekly meetings with them, we're able to establish what stuff's coming in, when, how they can manage their stock, what we're going to need forward ordering and things like that. So our supplier will come to us and say, right, we're getting this many masks in, if you could let us know what you need in advance and we'll put it to one side for you. And that's the benefits of supplier relationships, because if you didn't have a good relationship with your suppliers and you weren't very close, you didn't speak to them very often, you wouldn't become that they wouldn't really prioritize your need. But because you've got that good working relationship and you've got a good communication going between you, you know, they understand what your difficulties are, they understand why it's so important that you need these items, and they do their best to get them to you as quickly as possible. So at the moment we have a really good stock of PPE, and we're in a good position, and that is down to our supplier relationship management. And you know, if our suppliers are encountering problems, because we've got that good communication, we know that they've got a problem with that particular item and we can go and look elsewhere for it. So it's really important to establish that good communication between you and your suppliers.
Understand, yeah. So what we're saying here is, so because you've got that strong communication, it's building a level of trust. If something isn't quite as it needs to be, at least you get notified and you can deal with that rather than potentially just a delivery not turning up.
Exactly, because you know, it's all, a lot of the larger suppliers as well, it's not very personalized unless you have like a dedicated account manager, but often that account manager has several other accounts that they manage as well, so it's not really a personal sort of service. So it's a little bit more difficult with the larger suppliers, but if you can get some more sort of smaller and more local businesses on board,
yeah,
definitely beneficial to your business, because quite often these smaller suppliers will be offering services that you didn't realize they even do. And because you're in that constant communication with them, you come to know a lot about your suppliers and they come to know a lot about you, and it's really very helpful, and it helps you anticipate and measure your risks. It helps you to be strategic in your decisions. You know, if they can be upfront with you and you can be upfront with them, you can absolutely work together to get around any risks that you're facing.
Yeah, I understand. So with regards there to your quantitative results, like you say, you're able to measure the reduced lead time, potentially reduced cycle time, cost savings, things that you can really see as actual results, as tangible results, rather than just it's a good supplier or it's not. You've really got something there to understand the benefit of SRM.
Absolutely, because if they understand your needs as well, they're better equipped to give you alternative items, because they know what you're looking for. You're not just looking for one particular mask, you're looking for a certain specification, and they're able to offer up, you know, other alternatives and things for you. And because you've got that communication, they're not going to feel away if you turn around and say, I'm sorry, that's not really to our specification, have you got anything else you can offer me? And they actually go away and they do try their hardest to come back to you with something. And also, because you've got that relationship and you know where their difficulties are, you know what you need to monitor on your side. So we've had to put in new processes for managing stock on our side, and the stuff that we're sort of monitoring closely is because we know our suppliers are getting difficulties getting them in. And if we didn't have that information from our suppliers, by having that good relationship, we wouldn't know that that item would need to be monitored carefully.
Understand. Thank you. So you've got this strong relationship with your strategic suppliers there. Do you manage all your suppliers in the same way, regardless of the type of product or service they're offering?
No, absolutely not. So, for instance, if it was a stationery supplier, obviously in the current climate with this pandemic, stationery is not an urgent need. So, you know, you don't really need to manage that closely. I think it's the suppliers where, you know, the items that you're procuring are strategic items. They're essential to your business to be able to carry on running with those supplies. Those are the ones that you need to absolutely stay on top of, monitor, stay in contact with your suppliers, keep your relationship going, iron out any disputes as soon as you can. You know, it's just really, you need to put your focus on those kind of products, those products that are essential to your business. With smaller sort of, I mean, we have like a lot of contractors who do a lot of work for us, and quite a lot of the time it's sort of one-man band sort of things, and you know, they know their job, they've been doing it for years, they don't need a lot of monitoring, you know, they just need the occasional check-in, make sure everything's all right with the invoicing, and make sure everything that, you know, they're happy with the work they're being provided with, the communication we're providing them, are they all right with that, do they need more from us? Quite often with the contractors like that, they're quite happy to just be left to do their job. But like I say, for the more strategic items, you definitely need to put your focus onto those suppliers that are supplying those sort of items for your business.
Yeah, I see. And final question, Kim, just in conclusion, do you think, in your opinion, then, that effective supplier relationship management is an integral skill for a procurement professional to develop and maintain?
I think it's a really important skill for you to maintain, and I think there's always room for improvement as well. Obviously, with technology changes and things like that, there's lots of different ways you can stay in touch with your suppliers, and it's always, absolutely always worth putting in the time and the effort to keep that communication going. It's absolutely essential to keep your business running. It's a really good skill that should be polished if you can. It will get you so much further with your suppliers.
That's great, Kim. Well, thanks very much for your time. Appreciate your insight into your job, and on behalf of everyone in the country at the moment, I think we'll all thank you for the hard work you're doing in keeping things moving with PPE. So thank you very much indeed, and take care.
Thank you.